Sunday morning, and welcome to the world's best fantasy show. You know why we're the world's best? Because these two guys next to me and below me, Tyler, Tarbill, I'm Space, 1252 Entertainment. But guys, I got to start this right now with some breaking news. This is what a fantasy show is supposed to do. Just came across, obviously, for all of you worrying about J.K. Dobbins was probably anywhere. Tyler, where was he on your RB? What, between 4 and 8? 9, 4 and 9th running back taken?
J.K. Dobbins was the 26th player drafted off the board, right? So RB
26
15.
and what running back?
15.
So here's
15.
a word on him. And by the way, we'll get into it. He had the highest percentage of rushing yards of any running back last week. The Athletic just reported on my site that I play fantasy that even if the Ravens get good news Sunday on Dobbins, he is going to miss extensive time no matter what. Gus Edwards will be in the position to replace him. And then for the second and third, which is very valuable on the Ravens, Tyson Williams, who we talked about off air, and Justin Hill will be the backups. But that's bad news for anybody that I would venture to say that was in a 12-man league, probably your second pick. J.K. Dobbins will be out indefinitely, and that's according to The Athletic. It just came across my site about 3 or 4 minutes ago. Bad news for anybody who was relying on him in a short draft anyways, and I call it a short draft. Tarbill, I know you're doing your experience, your first draft today.
Yep.
You'll see it drops immediately. All of a sudden, you're looking at the Mike Davises or the Michael Carters of the Jets. There's no running back that you care about on the Tampa Bay Bucks because you got 3 running backs. You got a 3-headed monster.
Right.
With a throwing quarterback. So, I mean, how are you planning going into your draft tonight, Tarbill?
I'm going to focus early. Hopefully I get a good draft position. I really am hoping I can get either a guy like Alvin Kamara. I might take a chance on a guy like Saquon Barkley in the first, depending on where I fall in the draft order. So we'll just have to see. But in PPR and half PPR leagues, your first running back is really such an essential choice that I'm hoping I get good positioning so I'm not looking at a guy like Mike Davis, but we'll see where I end up.
Let me ask you, Tyler. It's amazing for us doing this show, everything I read when you just watch fantasy shows from other idiots. Remember, we're all idiots. The 3 of us were players. We're players, and we love to talk about it, but we're not going to overload you with stats. You know who is so good we don't hear really anybody talking about? The kid from the Colts, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, he's a nice running back to get in the back of the first round, especially with Quentin Nelson. He should be ready by the beginning of the season, and Carson Wentz. All reports are they should be ready to go by week 1.
And with that offensive line the Colts have, you could see, you know how you always try to project the next year, who's going, people always say who's going to be on the cover of the Madden games. I use the analogy, who's going to be on the cover of next year's fantasy football magazines. And Jonathan Taylor is that type of guy that could propel himself to be the number 1 running back next season.
Oh, I could absolutely see it. As Tyler touched on with Quentin Nelson there, that's obviously Quentin Nelson's the best offensive lineman in football. I don't think anyone would argue that. So when you've got a guy of his caliber to help protect you and open up holes, that's going to just lead to some tremendous upside and some great yards per carry.
I mean, do you think anybody, staying on the Colts, do you think anybody's going to take Carson Wentz? Even as a backup quarterback? Or he's just going to be there?
Flex league.
Yeah.
Only in a super flex league. So actually, during the offseason, Carson Wentz was one of the guys I was trying to target in all my Superflex Dynasty leagues, just to add some cheap quarterback depth that does have the upside to be a top 12 quarterback.
Hey, guys, what do you think, talking about Wentz, his old team, the move yesterday for the Eagles to get Gardner Minshew, the Jags, what's that say about Jalen Hurts?
I think they're just trying to have a serviceable backup just in case Hurts can't do the job. Just like when they had Wentz, they had Foles that they knew could do the job in a pinch if needed. I don't think they trust Flacco very much with how old Flacco is now. I mean, Gardner's going to slot into the QB3 role for them, and once Flacco's gone, he should be retiring after the season. I mean, he's not starting anymore. Right. I mean, in that way, they still have
cut Tuesday. When the final results come out, he'll probably be cut. You know, but I'm surprised. I would have thought, I'd love to be in that room, the fly on the wall, when they're doing these deals. I would have thought they would have picked up and called the Bears if they wanted a backup for Nick Foles. Mm-hmm. Knows the system, knows the coaching staff a little bit, you know. And even in watching him preseason last night, Foles, he's a serviceable quarterback.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there is they don't want to start the competition between Carson Wentz and Nick Foles again. Obviously, Frank Reich was with both of them over.
No, I'm talking about Philly. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
talking about Philadelphia going after. You know, what did he do so bad that he's third on the Bears?
He's got two quarterbacks ahead of him that are better than him.
Yeah, but
it's situational. I mean, I don't think he'd be the number 3 quarterback on a lot of rosters, but when you've got Andy Dalton and you've got Justin Fields, you're the third guy in that lineup for a reason. We got a quick question in the chat here, guys. Is there any reason to take a kicker or DST before the final 2 rounds? Usually I'd take a flyer or a backup before taking the best kicker or DST.
Let me say I'll do it, and then Tyler, you can answer. Right now, my roster, I don't even have a defense on there because I wanted to try to take some positional players and see what happens the next 2 weeks before I need to put a team on there. You know, when a defense scores, it's all luck. And hey, JR, how you doing? But when it's just, I don't. It should be the last 2. But like I said, I don't even have a defense on my roster right now because I wanted to pick up Jameis Winston. Gives me an excuse to talk about
famous Jameis.
I love famous Jameis.
The minute I heard that he was the starter, I went on. I guess, you know, people shouldn't be in the league with me being retired where everybody else works. So I have nothing else to do. I picked him up. He's already in my starting lineup. I am saying right now, today, on the world's best fantasy show, that all things considered, Jameis Winston will be a top 5 statistical quarterback for this season coming up.
All right, let me
look
stop
out
you there
for that
real
wide
quick.
receiver. Look out for that wide receiver, Marcus Galloway.
We just got a tweet from Adam Schefter about J.K. Dobbins. He's currently undergoing an MRI, but the expectation is that he had suffered a season-ending knee injury.
Okay, Schefter's not always right. Oh my God!
Yeah, that's rough there. But to go back to that defense and kicker question, so I sent you guys my roster for my first redraft I did. If I'm not drafting the weekend before the season starts, I never draft a kicker or a defense. I always use that to pick up like a flyer. So I use this guy as an example. A couple years ago, James Conner, when Le'Veon Bell had all his situation going, James Conner was a guy I was taking constantly over kickers and defenses, and I had the best fantasy season I've ever had because most of my teams I had James Conner in there. I know for sure I'm already going to be streaming kickers and defenses. So why am I going to waste a pick? I'll just pick up a kicker or a defense right before the season starts.
And remember, if you're in a 10-man league, there's only 10 kickers. Yep. Nobody's taking 2 kickers. If you're in a 12-man league, that means the 13th best, if you call it that, available kicker is available. And think about it for the Ravens. losing this guy that gets so much yardage, J.K. Dobbins, is that going to impact Tucker? Probably the best kicker in the NFL for the Ravens because they're not going to get as good a field position as they used to with him.
Yes and no. I think you're going to see a lot of rushing from Lamar Jackson as he typically does. So I don't think it's as bad of a blow for the Ravens specifically just because they have a quarterback that can carry the ball like a running back. Obviously, you can't rely on Lamar Jackson to take an unrealistic number of carries, but I think you're going to see him move the ball with his feet a lot, and they've got a little bit of depth there to replace him. It's not ideal, but I think the Ravens will get by.
Yeah, no, I think the Ravens will be fine. Gus Bus is a serviceable. He'll be able to carry the load with no issues.
Yeah, with the two backups, they're all going to carry. If you look, last season, Edwards carried the ball more than Dobbins did.
Oh, yeah. So before
it's amazing. I'm listening. I love, and obviously everybody who knows of me or knows me, I've been in sports radio since the early 90s. And I'm listening to this guy on Mad Dog Sports Radio on Sirius Satellite yesterday. And he's talking, but he tries to be hip. He doesn't talk about carrying the ball. He has to say carrying the rock. He's not carrying the rock. He's carrying a goddamn ball. I mean, don't try to impress me, but he's carrying the rock. I mean, maybe he's carrying the rock. Johnson, what's his name? The ex-wrestler and movie star. I'm going to ask because I didn't ask Tarbill, the boss of this whole show. Do we have to take a break at 20?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that here in a few minutes.
You want to do that right now? We'll take a break. We'll go look for more information on Dobbins. And then I want to get into, with people getting into their draft, who are some sleepers, people like you, Tarbill, people like you, Tyler, that should look like that normal circumstances, they're not drafted, but the way this weird season's going to be, you might have to take them. Okay, this is the world's best fantasy show. Tarbill, Tyler, and I are going to take a break, maybe go to the bathroom. We'll be right back after this.
Hello. This is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's NIKIVY brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
And we are back. In case you guys missed it, Nick and Ivy, our sponsor you just heard from, celebrated their 1-year anniversary in downtown Lockport over this weekend. So congrats to Paul and his team. Great team out there. I was not able to make it up, but I will be making a trip up there here in the next few weeks. So congrats to Paul and his team on a year. And go ahead.
Tyler just broke the bad news of J.K. Dobbins out of Schefter, and he's usually never wrong. For you guys who have your draft later, here I'm in a 12-man PPR league that's already been drafted. So I just went to available running backs. Listen to the top 3 available running backs, and this will really get you crazy. Number 1 available running back, Cordell Patterson on the Atlanta Falcons. Number 2, for the Kansas City Chiefs, Jerick McKinnon. Number 3, for the New Orleans Saints, Latavius Murray. And to throw in number 4, Justin Hill of the Ravens. That's the running backs you're looking at, Tarbill and Tyler, this evening, that go beyond the normal stationary guys.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't think any of them are worth an ad, really.
No.
I mean, those. Yeah, running back is rough this year. That's why I like getting them very early. If you don't get them early, you're going to be missing out.
So my question becomes, for running backs lower down, you have, that's interesting for the Jags. Carlos Hyde has had a great preseason, and he's listed on this list. Is he somebody, except Robinson was so good last year, and it doesn't seem like he got hurt.
I mean,
I guess a guy.
I think Hyde will get some touches. I don't think he's going to be the main ball carrier. I mean, we've seen it over and over again throughout his career. He's not a very good pass-catching running back. James Robinson's way better at doing that, and James Robinson's got the fresher legs. He's a younger guy, and he's coming off a very productive season last year for the Jags that didn't have very many bright spots.
Well, when you look at this, if I could send you this list, guys, we're in trouble. I'm in trouble for sure. But you guys are walking into this, and at least you'll know not to draft J.K. Dobbins. And isn't what's the kid on Jacksonville that was drafted in the first round? I can't pronounce his last name. Anthony
Etienne.
What was it?
Etienne.
Yeah, Etienne. And isn't he out for the season too?
I don't think there's ever been any clarity if he is out for the year, but it is a Liz Frank injury, and it was looking likely that he would be missing the whole season.
Okay, so that's two guys that he was drafted in my third round. So looking at the two of you today with your drafts tonight, number two guys are already off the board. This is what's remaining, guys. I mean, I could go into the league and tell you who is sitting on roster spots, but that's terrible. Are you guys looking at any sleepers right now that nobody knows about, or like that kid last night, for the Bears, that tight end? Whoa,
Horsted.
Will he be drafted?
No,
he was an undrafted free agent.
He won't even be drafted if your league starts 4 tight ends.
Will he make the team, or will he go to the practice squad?
Last year he went to the practice squad. I could see him maybe earning that 4th tight end spot on the 53-man roster. The Bears have historically carried 5 tight ends into the season the last 2 years, so I could see him getting a roster spot. But last year he was exclusively on the practice squad. He had a really terrific game yesterday. We saw the accuracy on display from our guy, Justin Fields, who should be the QB1 of the Chicago Bears. Saw a beautiful pass in the end zone to him, beautiful catch. I think he's probably earned that number 4 spot on the Bears roster for tight ends, but as far as fantasy goes, he's not going to be a guy that's drafted.
All right, throw out to our massive audience, because this is why we're the world's best fantasy show. Who are some of the sleepers that you're looking at? And they might not necessarily be a sleeper, but they're not the main guy on that team. Who are you looking at?
So when I look at sleepers, everybody has their own definition for sleepers. Sleeper for me is a guy after pick 100 that can outproduce their ADP a lot. So starting at quarterbacks, guys I'm looking at are Trey Lance. We were talking about him a little bit before the show. If he does take over at any point this year, I think he's got immediate top 5 quarterback upside with just his rushing ability.
Really?
You've seen the cannon he has on him. I mean, he'll be another cheat code to fantasy like guys like Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray are. And then another guy I'm looking at quarterback space, you're going to love this, is Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston right now is quarterback 26 off the board. So he's being drafted. He's not even a starter in a super flex league. I mean, obviously the stuff hasn't been updated. He was just named the starter a couple days ago. His ADP is going to start climbing now that he's named the starter. But as of now, Jameis Winston is the 26th quarterback off the board at pick 180. Most fantasy drafts aren't even going that deep.
And realize one thing, if you take Winston, where I picked him up, and you guys will probably end up drafting him in your drafts tonight, depending on the depth of your league, he's going to get Michael Thomas back most likely.
Yeah, at some point, Michael Thomas will be back.
Yeah, and if you want a sleeper, in my mind, I said it to you, but he's starting in front of, and he's had a great preseason, is the wide receiver Marcus Callaway. He's had a great preseason, and, because he was second team last year, he worked with Winston. And, the only thing that can screw up Winston is this goofy coach if he still wants to play, what's his name? The joke.
Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill will still be involved. He'll have packages for him. I think he'll probably bring him in a lot around the goal line and stuff like that.
Well, Taysom Hill's they brought him in when they had a guy called Drew Brees.
Yeah.
What's it like for Drew Brees to have a Taysom Hill come in and Drew Brees has to run off the field? I mean, we haven't heard anything about Drew Brees. Is he doing TV this coming season?
I believe so. I believe he's a broadcaster. Yeah.
I believe he's doing some.
Oh, I think it's NBC, the Sunday night game. So, Tarbill, is there anybody you're looking at that nobody's really talking a lot about?
I'm going to be a small percentage of a homer here, and I'm going to say Marquis Goodwin with the Bears at wide receiver. I think he's got that electric Tyreek Hill-like speed, and you throw him in the slot with a guy. Really, Andy Dalton can utilize him in the slot, but you throw him out there once Justin Fields is the quarterback, and you've got a speedy quarterback that can get to a speedy receiver in the slot right there. I think that's just a match made in heaven. I think a lot of people have obviously seen what Marquis Goodwin can do. He's had a successful career thus far, but I think you pair him with a quarterback like Justin Fields later in the season, and he's going to be electric. So he would be my sleeper. We do have another question here in the chat. How many quarterbacks do you carry on your roster? If you have a top 5 or 7 quarterback, is it worth it to carry a backup or load up on running backs and wide receivers in a 12-man standard league?
I think what I said earlier, once again, there are 10 quality running backs. And if you look at preseason, you got to worry about Kyler Murray. I mean, he hasn't had the greatest preseason, and he's played. I mean, load up on position, guys. That's all I can say. Yeah. You can always find a starter for one game if you're on a bye. Mm-hmm. And don't forget, I think there's going to be more crap. They're going to do it because everybody's talking about one extra game, so we're going to rest people. They're going to if they turn this into the NBA, shows like this are going to be worthless. If they're going to do resting Christian McCaffrey one game.
Oh, I absolutely hate the load management in the NBA. We don't have enough time in the show to get into that. I really hope that that's not the direction the NFL's going because it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, just to touch on that quickly, as a fan, we'll say the Bucks, for example. I'm a Bulls fan, but if you're a Bucks fan and you're going to a game to see Giannis Antetokounmpo play and he's sitting on the bench because they're load managing him, that's absolutely ridiculous. I still paid full price for my ticket. I'm expected to see the best players out there. It's horrible. I really hope the NFL.
Well, you could see what the NFL, and I thought this is what commissioners are for the NBA and the NFL. When you look at the NFL and stars aren't playing in any preseason game, and I don't mean every star, but some teams, Justin Herbert was a rookie last year. There are people, and he didn't play. Keenan Allen didn't play. I'm just talking about the Chargers. I mean, when you have new quarterbacks with new teams and they're still not playing, I don't get it. It's going to be a sloppy first week, I predict. It'll be a very sloppy first week.
I mean, last year, the first couple of weeks were sloppy because I think it'll be better than last year, but last year we had no OTAs.
Well, you had
Training
no
camps
practice
were a
because
mess.
of the COVID.
Yeah,
Right.
training camps were a mess. Preseason was a mess. I think, or no, there was no preseason last year. We went right into the season.
No. And that could truly, okay, here is what other fantasy show does this. I'm going to listen to Tarbill. I'm going to pick up right now, live. Right? Live. I'm going to pick up Marquis Goodwin.
All right.
Okay, and I'm going
I hope he doesn't let you down.
My team sucks anyway. I mean, okay, I'm not going to drop Marcus Callaway. I'm not going to drop, I guess I could, Jacoby Myers on New England. Would you rather have Godwin than Jacoby Myers?
I'd rather have Jacoby Myers.
Okay. Would you rather have him than Hardman on KC?
I'd rather have Mecole. He's got more upside. He's got the better quarterback.
Okay. And then I can't until I can drop Dobbins down out, even though I should just drop Dobbins right now. But then my luck, Schefter's wrong.
Yeah, then he comes back and he's starting week 1. Something crazy happens.
What do you play? What fantasy app do you use, guys?
Yahoo and Sleeper.
Sleeper is, I think, phenomenal. Other than I wish they wouldn't predict the scores, because already for first week, which is still, if I'm correct, 2 weeks away, I'm predicted to lose by 82 points.
Well, I mean, every platform does that. They always have projections.
I hate it. We don't do projections like that because we don't know. Mm-hmm. We just don't know. Okay. Any updates on my guy, Dobbins?
I have not seen anything yet. I've been watching my screen to see if anything comes across, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Let's talk about some of the guys that did play preseason that really is there concern about Jamar Chase, the first wide receiver taken.
Yeah, so I've had concerns about him all offseason, where he's been being drafted. Let me pull up his ADP right now. I know his ADP has dropped recently. Right now, he is the 24th wide receiver off the board and the 66th pick overall. A couple weeks ago,
what wide receivers ahead of him and behind him?
Right ahead of him, you got Lockett at 20, DJ Moore 21, Deontay 22, Ayuk 23, and then right behind him, Michael Thomas 25, OBJ 26, Claypool 27. But I've been concerned about him all off season. It's not talent or anything. He hasn't played, and he didn't play his whole last season in college. And right now you're drafting him at what I think is a ceiling for this year. You're not going to climb up any spots from where you're drafting him. Right now, if you're drafting him as wide receiver 24 off the board, that's a wide receiver 2 for your team. And if it takes him a couple weeks to get going, you're gonna be upset. It's not gonna pay off for you in the long run.
Yeah, I would agree. He has a lot of drops from what I've seen thus far. So I don't know that I want to put my stake in a guy like that.
Right.
I heard you say, did you say Tyler Lockett is the 20th receiver, Tyler?
Yes. Right. Yeah, wide receiver 20 off the board.
That's
low for him.
Yeah, I think that is low for him. Tyler Lockett's a guy that has tremendous upside year after year. Tyler Lockett's a guy that I always end up drafting because he's still available, and he's performed well for me the last 2 seasons I've had him on teams. And
so the thing with Tyler Lockett that a lot of the fantasy community doesn't like about him is he's boom or bust. He'll go off and win you a couple weeks every year, but the weeks he doesn't go off, he's hurting your team. His consistency isn't there. He's got those boom
Tyler,
performances.
This season, when you and Tarbill get into drafting, you don't need guys like that to win you 1 or 2 games a year, because even in the wide receivers, how comfortable I took Lamb for Dallas. We all thought for the year he had last year, we all thought but how do we know if he's going to be the stud that everybody predicted this year if Dak has a shoulder problem?
So usually when a wide receiver breaks out the way he did in his first year,
right,
it shows the success that is going to be coming. So guys like Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, those guys they broke out in their rookie season. They're going to take the next step forward, especially with CeeDee Lamb. They're moving him all around the field. They're not just using him primarily in the slot like he was last year. CeeDee Lamb put up great numbers for your fantasy team last year with guys like Ben DiNucci and Garrett Gilbert and guys like that. Now he's got his starting quarterback, Dak Prescott, coming back. I think he's got top 5 wide receiver upside.
Important question for the man. Go ahead, Tarbill.
Tyler, where is Allen Robinson in the rankings for wide receivers right now?
Allen Robinson is wide receiver 13 off the board.
13.
Pick 38 overall, 1 pick behind CeeDee Lamb.
Let me ask the man wearing a Green Bay Packer jersey and the G right behind him. Who's the number 2 wideout for Rodgers?
For Rodgers? Probably Randall Cobb.
You really think Cobb is a decent pick?
Oh, no, I don't think he's a decent
Cobb's
pick.
Name.
I don't think he's a decent pick, but over his career, Rodgers' career, Rodgers has the second highest quarterback rating when targeting Randall Cobb out of all the wide receivers he has played with.
Whoa. We should put that out on the AP. That is a great stat. That is a great stat. And he wanted him. That was the favor that they did for him. And Rodgers will want to make Cobb look good. Cobb is really a great possession receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well bring back Donald Driver and Jordy Nelson while we're at it then.
Hey, I've been saying that since Rodgers has been back. Bring the whole gang back, all of them. Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson. Bring them all back.
Donald Driver's
Who was
like
the running back then?
Now.
They had a great running back.
What the hell was his name?
Eddie Lacy.
Running back.
Eddie Cheeseburger Eddie
Lacy.
Eddie Lacy.
No, fuck that guy. Fucking Cheeseburger Eddie.
Gained 20 pounds every offseason until he was out of the league.
Yeah, no, that guy sucks. Yeah, the guy had 1 or 2 good years.
You know who looked really good? Did you guys watch the Tampa Bay game at all yesterday?
I did not know.
I watched about a quarter of it, and then I caught the highlights.
It's a curious question I'm going to throw out there. Is he a sleeper, or is he a quality wide receiver still? Antonio Brown looked great yesterday.
Antonio Brown is probably my favorite guy to target after you get past round 8. If I see him sitting there anytime after round 8, it's pretty much an auto. It's an auto pick for me. He's the 38th wide receiver off the board right now.
Who's 37 and who's 39?
Deebo Samuel is 37. Jarvis Landry, 39.
Okay, Landry's a good pick at 39. What do you think about the rumor? Obviously, the lack of faith Miami has in Tua, that they want to trade for Desean Watson. Got nothing to lose. Dangerous city for Deshaun.
I mean, you have. Go ahead, Tarbill. No, go ahead.
I don't like that. For one, I don't like that Miami as an organization is coming out. Well, they're not coming out and saying they don't have faith in Tua, but that's what all reports indicate, right? If you're going after a guy like Deshaun Watson, you don't have faith in Tua. And I think the way that they put Tua in and then pulled him out last year with Fitzmagic over there in Miami was absolute bullshit. I'm not a fan of that. Once you throw the rookie out there, you have to let him experience those growing pains on the field. You can't, every time something goes wrong, you can't just turn to Fitz. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Ryan Fitzpatrick fan. The guy's been tearing it up around the league, a few games a season every year for the last 17 years or so. So I'm a Fitzpatrick fan, but I just think that Tua got dealt the wrong hand in that situation. No, not as a starter.
Here's news from Ian Rappaport.
Go ahead.
Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network. It's feared Dobkins tore his ACL.
Oof.
Bye-bye. You can go ahead and drop him right now, Space.
Yeah.
But back to the Desean Watson thing. with the controversy that's obviously been surrounding him, I just think any team that picks him up brings in so much negative morale and baggage there that I don't know if the risk out or the reward outweighs the risk in that situation. Personally, I think that obviously innocent until proven guilty, et cetera. Hopefully he is acquitted, but with the way this situation's developing with him, I would be very hesitant to bring him into my locker room, and I would fear what it would do to the morale of the team moving forward.
But the question becomes, and we don't want to get into political by any way, shape, or form, especially I don't. But when you look at the world we live in now, I feel so sorry for the women, but I don't understand why they keep quiet for 20 years or 20 minutes. I get it. But you know what? He still doesn't have anybody say he's guilty. It's moronic, to say the least, what it sounds like. But when you look at what went on with Trump, what went on with Cuomo in New York, I mean, and other actors like that guy from that 70s show, Danny whatever, Masterson. I mean, I think this day and age, unless he's convicted, and I don't know why the NFL isn't doing their own investigation.
The NFL,
the guy's too quality. We're not talking about the end of the bench. We're talking about a top 3 quarterback. If he didn't have these accusations, would he have been the third one a quarterback taken?
Yeah, without a doubt. With his rushing ability and what we've seen from him through his couple of years. But the NFL is doing their own investigation. They are not going to wrap it up, though, until all the other investigations are done. They're taking a back seat and letting the criminal and civil trials take place first before they make any ruling, which is why the Texans have come out and said he will be a healthy scratch this year. Well, that's the rumors. They haven't come out and said that. Right. But, I mean, if you're trading for Desean Watson, I mean, I read on Twitter yesterday, I forgot where it came from, that teams are trying to get their picks protected in the trade just in case it does come back that, hey, he is guilty. So they're not losing 3 firsts and 2 seconds like the Texans are asking for. They're trying to get them protected, but I don't think the Texans want anything to do with that.
No. And why would they? That's got to play right into their hand, right? They've got to dump him off now, and if he is guilty, so be it. They've moved on from him, and that's what they're trying to do is protect their name, and they have to do that. So
yeah.
Hey, is it time for another break? Because Tarbill, because when we come back, I want to talk about the value and the tight end situation out there after, the permanent tight ends like Kelsey and Kittle, et cetera, who is out there that we should target. And look at that kid we talked about on the Bears. Look at the kid, the game he had for the Jets. What's his name? TJ something or other. So let's take a break. Yeah, let's take a break. Let's come back and have some fun wrapping this world's best fantasy football show. It's almost football time, children. Almost.
Oh, yeah.
Almost.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Darren, licensed real estate broker with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group in Homer Glen. Are you looking to buy or sell? Have you been disappointed in the past? The Jonathan Darren team with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group focuses on providing you with a concierge level of service during the process of buying or selling. We are a service-oriented team with a fresh and professional approach to selling real estate. Our goal is to combine knowledge, skills, and passion to exceed our clients' expectations, and most of all,
We truly care. We are a knowledgeable real estate team focused on offering expertise and innovative solutions for our clients. The Jonathan Darren team has 5 full-service real estate brokers and a dedicated full-time marketer servicing all of Chicagoland. We will customize a detailed plan around your timeline for a sale, purchase, investment, estate, or other needs. Real estate transactions can be stressful, but don't need to be. Let us handle it for you. Visit our website, homesbyjdt.com, or call 708-308-1938 today. Expect better in real estate. Choose the Jonathan Darren team.
Real estate is hot right now, and you need an attorney to handle all of this. My guy, Mark Berardi, does this all day long. He's a straight shooter. There's no fancy language. He's just to the point. And he and his team get the deal done. There's no BS. He also does estate planning, trusts, wills, and power of attorney. He has great reviews up and down the board from a ton of happy clients. For him and his big team, they're all just down to earth and normal people as much as he is. You will not be disappointed you went with him. He's located in Homer Glen and New Lenox and handles real estate all over Illinois. There's no place too far, so give him a call today at 708-942-8030. Again, that's 708-942-8030, or look him up online at Mark Berardi and Associates.
Have to call Berardi and ask him if I could take insurance out on J.K. Dobbins. Hey, welcome back to the world's best fantasy show. We got Tarbill, we got Tyler, you got me. We're having fun. There's only one more Sunday without football, and then we get it for there'll be snow on the ground by the time the season ends in Chicago. And maybe we'll have an earthquake out here in California, and that'll be the end of it. If there is an earthquake out here, I want the epicenter right between my legs. I saw that rock movie with what was that rock movie with the earthquake? San
Andreas.
San Andreas. If that happens here, I think we have a gun in the house. I'll just kill myself. I don't know. Let's get into what's becoming more and more of an offensive scheme in the NFL. The new Travis Kelce's and Kittle. Are there any tight ends that you're looking at, and how high do you take? Is Kelce taken in our draft? Kelce was taken as if he was a wide receiver.
I mean, that's how you have to look at a guy like Travis Kelce. So Travis Kelce, I believe, with the stats he put up last year, he would have been wide receiver 6 overall, and you're getting that in your tight end. You're getting that in your tight end spot, where most of the tight ends that people are plugging in their lineups aren't doing very much. A tight end 12 isn't really helping your team. But if you have a guy like Travis Kelce putting up wide receiver 6 numbers in your tight end spot, that's a huge, huge advantage over the rest of your league at that spot. And in a 10-team league, you want to stock up, you want to have top players at as many positions as possible.
Do you think Waller is the number 2 tight end, or is it Kittle?
Kittle.
I think you can go either way. I think it goes either way, but I lean Waller just because of all the injury concerns with Kittle. All the Kittle injuries over the past couple of years, they're all adding up. I mean, talent-wise, I think Kittle is a way better tight end than Darren Waller. Kittle is a fantastic blocker, a great receiver, great with the ball in his hands, but the only knock I have for him is just the injury concerns.
Hey, earlier, I'm going to get off the tight end thing because you just reminded me there was somebody I wanted to talk about, and it's on the 49ers. If anybody has a chance to get the rookie running back, is it Trey Sperman?
Trey Sperman, I like Trey Sperman.
This kid, don't forget, all running backs on the 49ers get hurt. It's like, I think it's an NFL rule that they have to get hurt after a game or two. This kid, Trey Sperman, is going to be next season a top 10 running back.
I like Trey Sperman this year too. He's more of an inside zone running back, and you got Mostert who can carry the ball on the outside with his speed. I think the last 2 years he's had the fastest rush in the league.
Yeah.
Like the fastest speed.
Is Mostert the number one?
Mostert is the number one right now, yes.
Okay.
But no, Trey Sperman, he's a different running back. He's a bruiser. I believe he's going to get the goal line carries, the short yardage stuff. And I think he's better in a standard league. Who the hell's playing in standard leagues anymore? I don't know. But I think he still has sleeper appeal in half PPR and PPR.
I've got to get Trey Sperman. Here he is. He was the last running back. This guy drafted Devin Singletary before Trey Sperman was taken. Unbelievable.
I'd stay away from Singletary myself.
Isn't it amazing that people like, do you think Gurley is going to be picked up by the Ravens?
No.
Todd Gurley's still out there, and so is Le'Veon Bell.
I think they're
Gurley's
both washed.
Oh, there we go. Same time.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell was a guy that was absolutely electric when he was in Pittsburgh. He had the little drama stint there, and obviously moved around a couple times. He last played for Kansas City, correct? Bell did?
Yeah, last year.
And so, at the first, Mahomes, everybody was so excited about bringing him in. And, look what happened. Nothing.
You know what? I say go get my guy Frank Gore. Let him play for one more season.
Well, can't you just take Eric Tarak Cohen? Is he coming back?
He's a big question mark at this point. So when I was at Bears camp a few weeks ago, he was out on the field stretching. He was doing some ladder drills, some rope drills, some things like that. But he hasn't practiced with the team in any sort of full capacity over the entire preseason. And initially, Matt Nagy said that it was a 3-week or so injury and that he would be back. It's been well over 3 weeks, and we have heard no update from the Bears other than, yes, Tariq is still out. We don't know exactly what the injury is, and we don't have a really strong timeline. So it's one of those things that it's concerning with the way that Matt Nagy downplays injuries. It's concerning to me because he wasn't making it seem like the Tevin Jenkins thing was a big deal, and now your guy that really probably should have been a number one first-round pick for an offensive lineman, he fell to the second. Now all of a sudden he's having back surgery. That's absolutely concerning, and Matt Nagy did not allude to that until the day that the surgery happened. So I would be hesitant with Tariq Cohen just because who knows what the story really is. Matt Nagy doesn't give us honesty as Bears fans.
Did you guys see this story in Chicago about Austin Eckler, the running back for the Chargers? Yeah. Austin Eckler offers signed jerseys to fantasy football players who win with the LA Chargers running back. I don't know how he's going to account for that, but I just love when NFL players recognize and admit the value to their contract signing is a lot because of fantasy football. And I think
absolutely.
He's great, and I love that he recognized the fantasy football crew out there to have a little fun and make it worthwhile. I wish I would have drafted him. I like him.
I had no idea who Austin Eckler was 2 years ago.
Did I?
And I auto-picked him in a draft, and he actually ended up putting up some pretty good numbers for me in the PPR league, and I was happier than hell that I ended up with him. But he's a guy that's been consistently at a breakout, I won't want to say a breakout level, but over the last 2 seasons, he has gotten better, and he has tremendous upside.
It's always great when the players embrace fantasy football because that's what brings a lot of the viewers to the sport. I get why some players are hesitant because, I mean, all you have to do is go on Twitter right after a game is over with and go to somebody's profile that had a bad game, and you have thousands and thousands of people ripping them, being just complete douchebags. So I get the hesitancy, And that's not every player. I don't do that. You guys, I assume, don't do that. But there is some people out there that
I don't have
do
the
that.
time. I'm out there trying to
that
trade.
They give us a bad name. Just we enjoy the sport. If you put up a bad game, it is what it is. Everything's out of our control. We do the best we can, but it's all out of our control. You shouldn't be out there ripping the players, sending them death threats or anything like that, because you just give the rest of us a bad name and just want to enjoy it.
And as a player,
that's the world
cares?
we live in.
Yeah.
If I'm an NFL player and you want to sit and rip me on Twitter because I didn't get you enough points in your fantasy league, why do I care at the end of the day? But as you said, Tyler, that negativity definitely leads to some hesitancy in the sport. And it is frustrating for guys that I got into fantasy because I wanted to be able to watch the games after the Bears were off or before they played, vice versa, and actually have a stake in the games to care what the score was, get me more familiar with players around the league, etc. And that was, 5 years ago now, but realistically, fantasy brings more fun to the game of football. It brings more fun to Sundays, and it's a shame to see people like that on Twitter and whatnot that give all of us fantasy fans a bad name.
Wait till you reach my age. Sundays brings me heart murmurs, angst. I can't, when you're watching one game and you see on the crawl a 1-yard touchdown score by not Zeke Elliott, by what's his name, the back, Tony Pollard. It gets you nuts. Okay, a quick story. Way back in the late 90s, when I was running the Score, Mike North, everybody knows who Mike North is, a dear friend of mine, had a thing every year, a charity event called Bolorama. And we would get celebrities. We had Evander Holyfield show up and everything else. And the celebrities, we would have the pool room roped off so they stood in there so they're not bothered by all the score heads. Jerome Bettis is in the pool room with all the celebrities, and he was talking to, it was an ex-Packer that then became a Bear running back. Who am I thinking of, Tyler? This would have been in the late 90s.
I have no idea.
Okay, whatever, talking to them. And I start talking fantasy, and Jerome Bettis wants me to teach him about fantasy football. Well, now you know me. How excited would both of you be? I'm talking to the bus. I'm talking to the bus about fantasy football. The next season, Cordell Stewart took every short 1-yard run from him, and he scored. And we used to call it, instead of he got fucked, we called it he got Cordelled. And I screwed up Jerome Bettis' season thinking about fantasy football. I mean, I've played this since 1992. I don't know what I would do without it.
You can ask my wife. Sundays, depending on how my fantasy week goes, my whole mood has changed. I'm either in a fantastic mood or I'm all pissed off. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone. In my room, taking a nap. I'm not even watching the Sunday night game because I don't care anymore. I mean, that's just how it goes. She knows every football season, Sundays are all for football, and depending on what happens, my whole mood has changed.
And don't forget, you got an extra week.
Yep, another week of it this year.
Okay, there's still no final decision before we get off. There is no final decision on JK, but I dropped him already. If you want a decision, I dropped him and picked up Goodwin.
All right.
There you go.
I mean, that's going to be my Sunday. Now, it's interesting for what we're going to have next Sunday because it's the Sunday before the Thursday game. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yep. So what should we focus on next Sunday before the NFL really begins?
More
or do
draft?
We want to take a break? Or do we want to take a break and then hit it now? Because we got Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, we had just taken a break last week. saying, no, we'll hit it. I'm sure there'll be.
Well, your internet.
Camp
What do you have? A mouse, a little hamster working your internet?
So where I live, I am not allowed to get Comcast or AT&T or anything like that. I have this shitty service called Kraus, and it's absolutely garbage. They charged me out the ass for it for not great speeds, and it was just down last week. And had to have a tech come out and fix it, but we're all up and going this time.
So, to anybody that might be listening to us, watching us, if you're in the New Orleans area, please be careful, be smart, don't be stupid. Fantasy football takes second place. I don't know if you guys, maybe it's my age. I get up, the first thing I put on is the Weather Channel to see what the hell they're doing down there. This hurricane is going to hit land stronger than what Katrina did. And you want to know what's really weird?
Wow.
Today's the 16th anniversary of Katrina.
Yeah, it's supposed to. So when Katrina hit, it hit New Orleans and went the other way.
Right.
This one's supposed to just completely go all the way through Louisiana.
Wow. It's supposed to be, and now thinking Zion Williamson is sitting there thinking, why am I on the New Orleans Pelicans? Okay, a little basketball there right now, but you have to do it. All right, let's wrap this sucker up. I need another cup of coffee. You guys, good luck on your drafts tonight. And to everybody out there, and thank you for listening, watching. What was I going to say? Oh, Travis Kelce, if he's superstitious, he shaved his beard. He doesn't have a beard this year. And maybe he'll be jinxed. Watch that. No beard syndrome. Guys, have a great one and see you next Sunday morning.
Sounds good.
Take care, everybody.
See you.
Bye.